Good evening. So we start with our Shanti mantra. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Om Sahana Bhavatu. Sahanau Bhunaktu. Sahavityam Karavavahai. Tejasvinavadhetamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. We had a few important topics discussed in the last class, and we've been talking about the 4 parts of yoga, a clarification on how we could understand that, and we talked about japa, dhyana, puja, all those things, surrender. Today I would like to discuss and see if we can have a simple basic framework of understanding the entire context of sadhana. The point, the whole point of all these approaches, the different practices, what's the point? So we need a framework, because this basic framework of understanding, of course, that is what the Shastra is about, Swadhyaya is about whatever we study, Vedanta, Yoga Sutras, Bhagavad Gita. The entire study is about helping us to develop a very clear framework of understanding and a framework of interpreting our experiences, and the framework for making decisions regarding what is to be done, what is not to be done, along with all the other information, spiritual information that we have from the scriptures and the tradition. Yes, but of all these things, the most important is the spirit of sadhana. What is the basic spirit? Spirit means the attitude. What drives our sadhana? So, cultivating the correct kind of motivation requires a very deep and a very clear understanding of what is what and the big picture, not to lose sight of the big picture. Otherwise, a lot of these practices may seem meaningless because some could be difficult, and we may not be in mood. There might be easier options, and especially in our times in Kali Yuga, the distractions are a lot, and there seems to be a lot of incentive for not being spiritual, because if you are going to dedicate your life in a spiritual way for the spiritual goals, as the entire life, when it's lived as an act of devotion, as an act of dedication to the divine, a saintly life, it doesn't seem to match up with all the fun that everybody seems to be having. The way I say seem to be having is basically they only seem to have. So in this context, I remembered a imaginary anecdote a friend of mine told me. So there was this guy who died. So this scenario is imagined based on the Western concept of even in our karma, good karma, bad karma, hell, heaven. Okay? So this person was doing a lot of fraud, and he was kind of a smart, street smart person, getting his way around, but not very ethical. So he died, and the Yamadhutas offered him an option. See, you have done all this, a lot of papa karma, negative karmas you have done, but you have also done a few good things, and you had uh, taken care of some saintly people, and you made their life easier. So you have a lot of blessings from the saintly people. So because of that, we are going to give you an option. And also, you are very smart. So we are going to give you an option to choose heaven or hell. You have a choice. You can choose. I said, okay, so let's go to heaven. Let's okay. Let's first get rid of hell and let's go to hell. And they go to hell, and then there was like a lot of party. Many of his friends were there, and how we generally see the uh, the urban life when it is shown. People having fun, the light-hearted fun that we get to see in the movies and everywhere. So it was basically all party, a lot of joy, a lot of comedy and music and dance and nice food, all the fashion and a lot of cool people and all that, and people very friendly talking. He was like, wow, I mean, like, is this hell? And they said, yeah, this is hell. Okay, so let's go to heaven. Then he thought, maybe, man, if the hell is like this, then how nice will be heaven? So he said, let's go and see heaven. Because he didn't want to be taken away, carried away by the niceties in the hell. So he thought, how much better heaven will be if hell can be this much fun. So he went to, they took him to heaven. This is imagined scenario. You have to understand the spirit behind it. So he went to heaven. In the heaven, it was all very quiet, not much fun. There was one guy meditating, another one taking a walk. So another fellow was, doing some chanting, and another one person was taking care of another person. And it was all very quiet, serene, and nothing much happening. And each minding their own business. And maybe occasionally somebody gave a smile and went, but there's not much happening. So his mind is very restless. He wants entertainment, right? Bhoga. And there doesn't seem to be much happening. Food was very bland, sattvic food, ashram food. So food was like that. So it's like, man, heaven is really boring. And he said, I can't live here, for a very long time. So please, I will choose hell. And the Yamaduta said, Tathastu. And then immediately he was in hell. But this time it was very different. There was uh, one little, one little demon came and pricked him with a needle, and there was somebody threw some hot oil on him, and then there was very steamy and hot and pungent and bad smell, and then there were like people were yelling at him, and there was a lot of fighting going on, and very unpleasant. And he said, then they showed him his room, which was like absolutely stinky, and a lot of slush and mud and whatnot. And he said, hey, come on, where is all the party? And when I came before, it was completely different. People are all very cool, music and dance. Oh, that was our marketing department. Yeah. So, and then he realized he was taken for a ride. So that's how it is. So in Kali Yuga, it's like this hell. Everything looks very nice at the surface. There is a lot of marketing going on, packaging. I saw once advertisement for a so-called juice, one orange-based soft drink. Okay, I'll never forget it. They used to advertise. I don't know if that advertisement is still around. They advertise the name of that thing. If I say that, somebody will put a case on me. So that name of that whatever is the drink, then they say now with real orange. So that is the advertisement. Now with real orange. So you go with the way they tell you, you go with the imagination that it is, it is all freshly squeezed orange juice. Of course, it's not, that much, but then you are hoping for more, fruit and all that. So it has some pulp, some orange, that those little gel kind of pieces in orange, the tangerine. Some of that was floating around. It's full of sugar and water and color. Then I saw, what is this real orange? And I went and saw the ingredients. Orange, content of real orange in that is 0.1%. Okay, zero, not even 1%, 0.1 or something like that. I couldn't help laughing. So most of this Kali Yuga things are like this, right? And the comedy is Kali Yuga spirituality is also like this. Yoga is like this. The advertisement that goes on for Kundalini awakening, and the advertisement that goes on for miracle healing. In some religion it is miracle healing. In another religion, they advertise themselves as the peaceful people. And then we have our guys, this lot full of self-claimed. Somebody calls himself Sadguru. Somebody calls himself as they advertise. He is a realized yogi. They will advertise. And also somebody claims himself to be some mantra siddha, mahasiddha. We will solve all your problems. You arrange for this puja, whatever. So in every religion, if you see, those who are loud and imposing seem to be having the day. But if you go there, the substance is very less. So I happened to see one cult. There is a very famous cult in it's near Varanasi and in Gaya. That area we went there. The very famous cult. So we went and said, oh, because there is a lot of build-up about them. There is a lot of literature. There is a lot of talking. There is a lot of social positioning, public relations. So they're very good in that. So we went there, and I called the brahmachari. I talked to him. Yeah. So now that you are in that, so what do you learn here? What did they teach you? What do you mean? It's like, you have become the sadhu in this. So what do they give you? He said, oh, they give us, we change our dress and they give us this mala. We wear this mala. And then he said, that's all. They just continue to do some organizational work, some cleaning, some administration, taking care of the cow shed and stuff like this, and then maybe some serving in a hospital or running a school. It's basically an NGO with a different fashion state. So they're doing a few charitable activities, and there's nothing big spiritual going on there. They just have a context, and then they have some security because they are given food, clothing, and shelter, and they have an identity. They are offered an identity that they belong to this place, and they have one kind of a dress, and then they get some social respect. And the PR department takes care of the image building of the organization. And that's all. No sadhana, no pranayama, no yogic practices, no philosophy. There are a few songs written by that saint, whoever is the inspiration behind the cult. And those songs are nothing, they are just common, nice philosophical songs, like how we have Siddha songs, and we have this Akamma Vachanas and all that. Like that, there are very philosophical songs written by that person. And they're nothing but the same Vedanta, Bhakti, Yoga. It is the same philosophy, the same concept. But, based on that saint as inspiration, they started. But none of what he has sung in the songs, there is no system to practice it or teach or anything. So like this, if you look around, there is a lot of emphasis on fashion statement. There is a lot of emphasis on, creating an atmosphere. If it is not fashion statement, it is one step better, is creating an atmosphere. Like you have in these yoga studios, you have these nice cushions. Yoga studio advertisement is usually like this. There is a lot of space, open space, a few cushions kept in a nice way. Then in some altar, in the altar, there is some lamp or some Buddha head. And then there is one incense stick. This is typical yoga studio. And then one photo of a person or somebody who is doing some asana with a leg on the neck. And that's about it. Yeah. So in the same way, we also have, if you have this bhakti, there is a lot of noise, there is a lot of singing and dancing in one group. In another group, there is a lot of complicated rituals. There is this. If you go to this Kerala Tantra, they take a lot of time making that colorful yantra drawing, mandala drawings. It goes on for a very long time, and then after that, lot of steps for the puja and everything. So the entertainment of the mind takes a predominant portion of the so-called spirituality, and the content is very less. It is like this orange juice now with real orange. How much? 0.1%. So the whole spiritual, uh, so-called spiritual life has become 0.1% of real content, real transforming content, and 99.9% of entertainment. And if you have if you go for a upanyasam or a discourse, it is mostly entertainment. All the Swamijis are, they're very busy. Most of the Swamijis, sorry, not all the Swamijis. Most of the Swamijis and Gurus, they are busy giving this tautological statements, trying to read up some jokes so that they can crack some jokes and then, entertain them. It's like instead of the stand-up comedy, this is sitting straight comedy. The person is sitting in a dais with a Swamiji dress, then basically doing philosophically loaded comedy and storytelling and entertainment and anecdotes, right? And then there is one small point, because the grasping power of the most of the masses, of the most percentage of our population, the grasping power has become less, what we call as alpa medaha alpa buddhi. So that is the hallmark of the Kali Yuga brain, because of our lifestyle and our restlessness and all those things. The ability for serious inquiry and contemplation has drastically reduced over time. And it's like, instead of going for some movie or some discotheque or something, they say, okay, it is better to go for this. At least, you develop some good samskara. I'm not saying it's bad. It's great that they are going for bhajan and the satsanga and discourses and all that. It's all wonderful. There's a lot of puja. So you are at least entertaining the mind in this way. So that is the whole point of it. Is basically using the natural tendencies of the mind and aligning it with something connected with the divine, and eventually, slowly, subliminally keep implanting some content and some real content, and hope for the samskara to develop over a few lives, or at least in this life towards the fag end of life. Out of the 10,000 people who come for the satsang, the Guru's hope probably 5 or 10 will grasp the essence. So this is the ratio we are talking about, right? So that is why it has become entertainment. So even in this class, I had to crack a joke about that heaven and hell. Usually I try to avoid. What is the point of this? The framework. If you see, the two concepts that we need to understand, the entire approach to all the spiritual exercises is making our heart and mind become more aware of and to be more in tune with Ishvara Srishti. These two things we have to understand. Ishvara Srishti and Jiva Srishti. Ishvara Srishti is that which is coming from the ultimate source. All the things in nature, for example, are Ishvara Srishti. All the laws of the nature. Our body is Ishvara Srishti. The laws that govern the body are Ishvara Srishti. The genetic code, everything is, the whole life matrix, the matrix of life and the laws that govern this matrix of life is Ishvara Srishti, or God's, you can say, sustained by the divine. Okay? Ishvara Srishti is projected and sustained and regulated by the divine, by the cosmic intelligence, God, Bhagwan. Jiva Srishti is, there is this fake entity called my personal identity. Okay, this me, when whatever we say as you and me, when we say I, we have the sense of individuality. This sense of individuality is the result of ignorance. Okay, So now, what does it mean? It means this individuality is fake. It's false. There is no, this individuality is just there. It's like a noise, basically. And the whole thing created by this individual, the personal karma, the likes and dislikes, the preferences, the personal goals, bandha, moksha, everything, all the dharma, artha, kama, everything, all the goals and objectives that we have created, and all the sense of ownership, the sense of doership, the feeling that I am the enjoyer, all these things are jiva srishti or individual creation. For example, the the body is born, it grows, it gets old and dies. The body goes through a certain process, and then within the body there is a lot of metabolic process and all, right? So the body looks in one way when there is a lot of exposure to sun and too much activity and pollution, the body doesn't look very nice, say tired. And then when it is pampered well, well rested, shower, and all the nice food and all that, the body looks very good with exercise and everything. So the state of the body is there. So the body behaves according to its laws based on so the laws that govern the way the body is natural. We can say natural and artificial. So the body way is natural and it is governed by Ishvara. So if you do something, then action, that is a consequence. If you strain the body too much, the body, according to the laws of the nature, the body feels tired or stressed out. And then if you give the body enough rest, it comes back. And obviously it has to grow. Goes through childhood, adolescence, adulthood, middle age, old age, death, decay. Now, there is this self image that we create based on the body. When you go in front of the mirror, according to the natural laws, the body is reflected in the mirror and you see the body, but you don't see it as the body. You see it as myself. Oh, I am not looking good today. No, that feeling that comes. You look at you look at the reflection of the body in the mirror, the face in the mirror, and then you say, "Oh, I'm looking fat." If the mirror is a little, if the mirror is a little designed in a certain way, it can make you look thinner and taller. It can look short, make you look shorter and fatter. If it is a perfect mirror, the reflection will be as you closest to as you are. So you look at the mirror and the way the body looks. You are not saying, "Oh, the body is looking like this. This is okay. This is not okay." No. The moment you stand in front of the mirror, looking at the reflection, the immediate thought and the feeling is, "Oh, I am looking like this. I am looking good. I am looking bad." So this superimposition of I am on this body, it's not even a thought process. It's spontaneous, right? It is ingrained. It is natural. So once you recognize that as a reflection of you, you immediately call the body as you. See how that feeling comes so spontaneously and so integrally. So that is how this Jiva Srishti or this individual creation on so many levels is hovering around, is intertwined with the Ishvara Srishti, which is in the system and in the life. Similarly, this personal, this ignorance and its ramifications and the thoughts and the personal wishes, the likes and dislikes, what we call as the klesha and the karmas, all these things are superimposed on the natural rhythms of life. But this universal rhythm and the cosmic intelligence that carries on this current of life and it responds to our likes and dislikes and based on the whole collective karma and everything. So the whole natural system, the flow of life goes on. The flow of life is governed by the universal intelligence or Ishvara. So the flow of life is Ishvara Srishti, but my individual agenda riding on top of that is Jiva Srishti. Okay. The rhythms of the planets, the rhythms of the nature, the rhythms of the, there's the day and night, the stars. For example, the calculation of the time based on the almanac. The almanac, for example, what we call as Panchangam, in that, the lunar phase. So all these rhythms, they all represent Jiva Srishti. Whatever we do by convention, social convention, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or we have this dates, English calendar, what we call as Gregorian calendar, January 1, January 2, up to December 31. Today is December 2 or 3, right? So this, what we call as this date, when we say I am born on such and such day's birthday. So all these things, what happens when we look around in our modern life, there is a higher emphasis. All these are not based on any, this Gregorian calendar, for example, is not based on any natural rhythm. It is just started sometime, it's some convention, it's arbitrary. January 1 as the starting of the year is not in tune with any rhythm in nature. It's completely arbitrary. And that calendar also was wrong for a long time. They kept on changing that. And then finally, we are all settled with something. So, when we live our life according to this social and personal convention, conventionally, we just allot, let this be this. Let the value of n be 5, we say, in mathematics. So, like that, we are following a rhythm based on the Gregorian calendar, based on this 24 hours. And then, for example, in many Western countries where the winter is longer, you have the summer time and winter time. So they reset the clock 1 hour before or after, based on the season. And then suddenly, what is 5 o'clock yesterday now is 4 o'clock from today. And again, after 2-3 months, 3 or 4 months, it is going to get back to the 1 hour behind. So we are artificially imposing. So this Jiva Srishti is not only individual, but this a lot of Jiva Srishti in the society level comes together, and then you have a social level Jiva Srishti that is also created by us, artificially imposed on the natural rhythm of life. For example, the phases of moon, Pratama, Dvitiya, Tritiya, we don't have classes on Ashtami. So all those things, the rhythms of the moon, the Tithis, the Nakshatra, the Lagna, and the Masa, the based on the movement of the planets in the constellation. So this is Ishvara Srishti. This is the natural rhythm of life that depends on God, that is sustained by the God, by the divine intelligence. While the social conventions and the time scale that we follow is created and sustained by mutual agreement between us. This Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It is completely arbitrary. Nobody knows when it started. When was the first Monday? Why this day is Monday and not some other day? There is no logic, right? Because yesterday was Sunday, tomorrow is Tuesday, today is Monday. That's all you can say. You can never answer this in a level that is more than this. And then this kind of Jiva Srishti, being completely carried away by the Jiva Srishti, has made us totally oblivious to, I will not say ignorant of, we are aware of Ishvara Srishti, and life keeps on reminding us, the climate change keeps on reminding us, the Tithi and all that, once in a while we see in the culture, sometimes we follow that, we follow the almanac, you have this horoscope and all those things. And we have these seasonal changes. You may be thinking the seasonal change upsets your plan, or sometimes it helps you with the plan. In the spring, it affects your mood in a certain way. The autumn affects your mood in a certain way. So Ishvara Srishti keeps waking you up. We keep on going back into the sleep of Jiva Srishti, or individual imaginary world. But this individual imaginary world is sustained by this collective divine life that is sustained by the mind of God. That is what is sustaining our individual life, right? So I may be inside in a web universe, like metaverse, they say, right? So like that, I might be inside a game, and I may have an avatar, and I may be having a parallel life inside a software situation, inside a cloud world, in a virtual world. I might be having a life, an identity, and ego, and everything. But all of that is sustained by my brain here. My brain here in my head, that needs the food from time to time, that needs the right nutrition, that needs the right nourishment, and it needs the right conditions. And the computer which is there in my house needs electricity, right? So ultimately it comes to hardware. Hardware has the last laugh. There is one lightning, your computer is gone, your avatar is gone, and everything is gone. And there is a short circuit, everything is finished. Similarly, once your brain is gone, once your prana is gone, where is your avatar? Where is your virtual life? So this Jiva Srishti is I need not be ignored. This Jiva Srishti need not be destroyed. I'm not talking about that. That is not for everybody. Only for a sannyasi, probably. The one who wants moksha has to completely dissolve this Jiva Srishti in Ishvara Srishti. But for a normal person who doesn't understand moksha and all that, who has everyday goals, who just somehow has an appreciation for spirituality, it is very important to develop the sensitivity towards Ishvara Srishti and its importance. How Ishvara, I am using this term again and again so that we get familiar with that, because this is the fundamental framework. When we are entering a spiritual life, a life of sadhana, when we are talking about Nishta, abiding in the spiritual principles that govern life, understanding and abiding in them, the first step we need to take is develop the sensitivity and awareness and understanding of Ishvara Siddhi. Before our understanding, we have to develop the awareness and appreciation for Ishvara Srishti, the divine life, my individual life. Okay, let me call the Ishvara Srishti as the divine life, the divine rhythms of life, and my individual personal rhythms of life. So while I am living my personal life, I need to understand my personal life is part of and is sustained by, it depends upon the divine rhythm of life. So my personal rhythm of life is called Jiva Srishti, and the divine rhythm of life is Ishvara Srishti. My personal rhythm of life is sustained by, it depends upon entirely upon the Ishvara Srishti or the divine rhythm of life. This is the first thing we need to understand. So when I am spiritualizing my life, the first step comes when we talk about bhakti, dharma, all these things, what is happening? Devotion to God. When we are talking all these things, it is about tuning this individual, my personal rhythm of life, making it at least not contradicting and not in disharmony with the divine rhythm of life. That is the first step. At least not in disharmony. Minimize the disharmony with the divine rhythm of life and try to incorporate as much as possible, try to incorporate the divine rhythms of life into every aspect of my personal rhythm of life. If I am, it can all start with my birthday. For example, I can start celebrating my birthday based on my Janma Nakshatra instead of my English Gregorian calendar birth. It's a very simple thing, right? But it's very difficult. If you decide to do that, you will see how much of opposition, how much of criticism, how much of discussions you will have to make, and it will be a huge task. Such a simple, silly thing like birthday, to change celebrating my birthday from an English calendar day, which is completely, spiritually meaningless. It is meaningful in the sense I can, it is just randomly allotted day. It has no deeper significance than social significance or just an idea. It is an idea that I was born on that day, just an idea. But it is not connected with the real rhythm of life that is around, right? But at the same time, if I celebrate Janma Nakshatra, I am tuning to the purpose of my birth and other things on the day when my Janma Nakshatra and that particular month, whatever according to the solar or the lunar calendar, and that Paksha and that Nakshatra, right? and the tithi. So when I go along with that, there is a certain divine resonance. There is a certain divine resonance with the divine life rhythm of life. There is a kind of a resonance with the divine rhythm of life for my wish to celebrate my birth. So it is a kind of a resonance that makes it more conducive for invoking a blessing, for invoking positivity that could have a lasting impact on my subtle body. So my subtle body is always in tune with the divine rhythm of life, whether I like it or not, because it is sustained with that. And that is why when we are alienated from this divine rhythm of life and we get carried away into the personal life and all the social life that is built around that personal rhythm of life, when it gets in disharmony with the divine rhythm of life, it creates more and more conflict and struggle. So when I am retuning, I am trying to understand and retuning the most important things in my life. Okay, it may not be all the little everyday stuff. That is the target. Over a period of time, I can regulate almost all my activities based on the divine rhythm of life. But at least the most important things, which I really value for myself, things that are closest to my ego, things that are closest to my heart, if I try to tune them to the divine rhythm of life, it will help me to bring it into other areas also. And without my knowledge, unconsciously, the struggle component of my life will start reducing, and you will see this practically. The inner conflicts and the struggle component will start reducing. There are many things like this. For example, there is something called Swara Yoga, where you are understanding, the breath is in the right nostril or the left nostril, for example, right? So the laws that govern this swaras, or right nostril, left nostril breathing, and as much as possible, planning our activities according to that will increase the chance of, better manifestation, reduced conflict. So all these various spiritual exercises that we have, helps us to tune to that. So when we are doing puja and japa, for example, what we are doing is we are invoking a divine presence in our life. In a puja, we are invoking in an altar. In using japa and dhyana meditation, we are invoking inside the altar of my heart or in my eyebrow center. We are invoking the divine's presence in my subtle body, and we are invoking in the altar. So when the mind is externalized, the adoration of the divine, we connect to the invoke the divine that is invoked in the altar outside. And when there is a more inward tendency, I am able to connect to the divine that is invoked in my subtle body, in my mind. Right? So I invoke the divine, then I adore the divine. Invocation, then comes adoration, and then I do dedication. All my actions, whatever I do, the things that I like, the things that I don't like, I try to be in the company of the divine. Whatever the divinity that I have invoked in my life, I try to make the divine a part of all my activities, good things and bad things. You eat some junk food today, you can say, for example, um, let's say you like some, you are not supposed to have some, let's say, some onion or garlic, and you end up having some pakoda with some onion, and then you can say, you talk to your deity in the heart. See, now I am having this. I'm not supposed to have this. I know. So I would like to have this. I really enjoy it. So I'm having this, but I'm dedicating this enjoyment to you. So help me to reduce my tendency and become free of my need for this kind of pleasures. And whatever is wrong in this, please forgive it. But I'm dedicating this enjoyment to you, and it's very nice. So this onion pakoda is also depends upon the laws of nature that are sustained by you. So thank you. So you can you can dedicate that adharma also to the divine that is invoked in your heart, and gradually you will be able to dedicate the dharmic actions, the things that you take credit for. There are things that you are very proud about, the things that are now you are not very proud about. So all of them can be dedicated to the divine that you have invoked. The invocation, then comes adoration, where you are, chanting the mantras, shlokas, and doing a puja. So adoration tunes your emotional mind and your sense faculties, and your subconscious mind is able to appreciate the divine more, get in tune with the divine more, and you are able to remember the divine presence in your life more often, right? So you invoke your Ishtadevata, invocation, then adoration, then all your actions you dedicate to that dedication. And then you are able to become ready for contemplation. With the light of the teachings, you are able to try to inquire into the nature of the divine, the nature of the self, and all. And then comes realization. So these 5 points. So invocation, adoration, dedication, contemplation, realization. That's how you go step by step. So this making the divine a part of the divine presence a part of our life, when we use the right mantras and the right initiation and the right shastra given method, it becomes a very, that is the, why we need this traditional initiation and the mantras and the shastra based way of invoking the divine, is because it is based on the divine rhythms of life. It exploits certain patterns, certain energies and rhythms from this universal intelligence and this rhythm of life. And because of it, it understands, it's based on the spiritual laws. The presence of the divine that is invoked is very tangible. Otherwise, it is only an imagination. So what we call as, in an altar, in some temples when you go, there is a kind of an overwhelming presence. People who are sensitive can feel that. In some temples, the presence and the impact on your mood and the background mind is different from some other temple. So in a very specially invoked and in a maintained, a powerful Devi temple, if you go, the feeling is in one way. A very powerful Kshetra of Vishnu, if you go, the feeling is completely different. You go to a Lord Shiva temple, the feeling is very different. Go to a Hanuman temple, the feeling is very different. Go to Ayyappa temple, the feeling is very different. And it is sampradaya based also. If you go to a Lingayat or a Veerashaiva, the Agama, that temple, the feeling is different. You go to Agama based, Tantra based Kerala Chara temple, the feeling is different. You go to a Vaidika temple, the feeling is different. So all these sampradayas, they have access to the knowledge of the spiritual laws that govern the method of invoking the divine presence in an altar and also within us, in our subtle body. So we adopt one of these methods and we invoke a divine presence in our life, in our minds, in our hearts, in our life, in our homes. We invoke that divine presence and adore it with puja and worship and tune ourselves to that. We can cultivate a working relationship with that divine. We can make the divine part of every aspect of life, the good and the bad and the ugly. So we can make the divine part of every aspect of life. And then what happens? You slowly, that self-assertion starts reducing and appreciation of the divine becomes more. And without my knowledge, unconsciously, various aspects of my life will start getting in tune with the divine rhythm of life. Without your knowledge, you will make the initiative for some action in an auspicious time. It's called Ritambhara. When you naturally you will be in tune with the divine. So when we make divine part of our life and reduce the self-assertion of my personal universe, my egoistic tendencies, my self-assertion becomes less. When the divine becomes more important than me and my imaginary world, the imaginary me and the imaginary world that depends on this imaginary me, when this becomes less important and Ishvara Srishti or the divine rhythm of life becomes more important, naturally, organically, then automatically the supreme cosmic mind, the divine infinite knowledge starts directing our thoughts and our action without our knowledge. And as it starts happening, your life moves away from the evils of Kali Yuga. Your life moves away from adharma and becomes spontaneously dharmic. The current of life, the current of your thoughts, your emotions, everything starts getting aligned with the divine, and it will not take much time before you are ready for a deeply contemplative life that points out to you the true nature of yourself, which is the ultimate freedom. So that's how we start this process with the first step of appreciating, understanding, and tuning to the divine rhythm of life, which is Ishvara Srishti, and also understanding and thinking about the limitations of being carried away by the Jiva Srishti or my individual personal agenda. Me and my story are not important. The divine rhythm of life, that is universal current of life, the supreme reality, is much more important than me and my story. Me and my story is an imagination born of ignorance, while the reality is glorious. So all my struggles and all my emotions and all my drama, personal drama, this small world of my personal drama is pathetic. Actually, if you really think about it, me giving so much importance, trying and developing a lot of hopes on this world created by my personal drama is pathetic. It's nothing when compared to the glory and the joy and the expansion and the spontaneity of the divine rhythm of life that is all around us and within us. But in order to enjoy that, in order to be in tune with that, that must become more important than me and my story. And that starts, and that can be step by step cultivated by bringing the knowledge, the spiritual knowledge of the divine rhythm of life or the Ishvara Srishti through the scriptures and through the study and everything, and trying to understand it and trying to incorporate those aspects into my personal drama. Start making that more important, and whenever I want to make decision, see how I can do it based on the laws of nature. Even a simple scientific, if we don't understand spiritual, a simple scientifically established fact, right? Eating healthy, eating when you are hungry, that is making us in tune with the rhythm of life. Sleeping when it is dark and waking up around sunrise, that helps us to tune ourselves to the divine rhythm of life. So I plan all my evening activities in a way that I will sleep in a decent time and be able to wake up fresh and refreshed and energized in a decent time in the early morning. I'm not giving you Brahma Muhurta and such big uh, goals, around sunrise. So by 10:30 or 11 o'clock, if I'm able to sleep and wake up around sunrise, it's already great. So that is something. But to do that, I will have to plan my entire day. It's not easy. In the same time, if if I have to allot some time for my japa and dhyana and puja, let us say in the evening around sunset, if I have to do that, I have to plan my entire day around that. Otherwise, I cannot ensure doing it, right? So this Jiva Srishti or this personal drama, this personal agenda has become so overwhelmingly loud. In this noise, we don't hear the music of the divine life that is all around us and within us. So let us gradually find ways and means to reduce this noise by incorporating the uh, various elements little by little, one step at a time, like uh, using astrology. For astrology means not predictive astrology. Astrology means the rhythm of the planets and the stars and the almanac and all that. Based on that, trying to see if I can incorporate something. So the tragedy is, even in this almanac, we have this astrologers. They say, Thursday, the corruption of this Kali Yuga's collective personal agenda. This Jiva Srishti, or the human noise, has penetrated even the spiritual systems and the spiritual sciences. So it takes some time for us to really understand what is authentic spirituality, and to set aside all this noise and see through all the noise and all the clamor and all the marketing, because the wrong people are usually more loud and the right people are more silent. So that is a fact of life. They don't advertise much. So very authentic way of approaching astrology. If you see, there are 100 astrologers, probably one will be authentic, right? So I'm not talking about predictive astrology. What I'm talking about is learning to understand the almanac and incorporating some aspects of it, one or two aspects of it. The first thing is, I celebrate my birthday based on my birth star on the birth month, based on solar or lunar calendar. I challenge you, it is going to be very difficult. You try that, it is going to be very, very difficult to do this and to ignore your English birthday. That is the whole point. Point is to ignore your English birthday. See if you can do that. It's going to be hard. At the same time, tuning our everyday actions based on sunrise and sunset, growing moon and decreasing moon. Now we are in the Shukla Paksha, or the growing moon. In the growing moon, all growth related activities are are conducive. In the decreasing moon, the various things that you want to get rid of, and getting rid of unnecessary things and cleansing and all those things are very useful, very beneficial to do that. The decreasing moon, these are all very broad guidelines. I'm not going into very detail. So as I told you, the personal agenda of humans, the human ignorance noise, the noise based on human ignorance has penetrated spiritual sciences. One example is, they will tell you, on Monday go to Shiva temple, on Thursday go to Dakshinamurti temple, on Friday worship Devi. You have seen that? This is very, very common. So all the recommendations of pujas and everything is based on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which is based on the Gregorian calendar. We also have, the 7 days. The concept of the 7 days came from our ancient India, the 7 planets, our Indian astrology, and all that. But today is Monday. Okay, we say today is Monday. So when was the first Monday? When did the first Monday start? And what is the cosmic fact, or the astronomical fact, or what is the nature based fact on which designating the day as Monday or a Tuesday is based on? If you look for that, there is no answer. So all the almanac or astrological things based on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday are meaningless, which includes Rahu Kala, Hora, so many things become meaningless. Once the 7 days thing is gone, all the other things, the talk based on the 7-day thing is gone. These are all at best, I would say, these are all at best psychological. They are not based on reality, but they are based on the collective convention. Because of that, it has a certain subconscious benefit. It is based on the human sankalpa. It is not based on human sankalpa and collective sankalpa. It is not based on Ishvara Srishti. I'm not telling you should not do that. It is going to Dakshinamurti temple on any day is great, but you don't have to pressurize yourself to do that on a Thursday. You can do it, say, every Thursday I go to Dakshinamurti temple. As a discipline, it's great, and it might have a certain psychological, the moment you think, because it is a rhythm, repeating rhythm every Thursday, you think of Dakshinamurti. So that is great, because that creates a rhythm as a discipline. It has its own place. But what I'm trying to tell here is it has no divine logic. It has no logic based on the rhythms of nature. It has a logic only based on the human convention. This distinction most of us don't know. So when we are following a spiritual rule or a spiritual system, we have to understand, am I doing it for psychological reasons or I am doing it for realistic reasons based on nature's rhythm? I need to inquire into it. So we cannot blindly follow everything. So following the spiritual laws, understanding and following the spiritual laws of life, incorporating them in my personal life as much as possible, requires research. It requires study. I cannot afford to be, lazy and careless and then say, oh, that person said, so I will do, and then keep on going. I have to try to do my own research, my own study. Thankfully, one nice thing about this Kali Yuga is information is more easily available. And because of that, we don't care to look at it. But as true aspirants, we can try to learn to look at information and try to improve our knowledge and do our own research and ask certain fundamental questions. Let us not feel shy to ask certain fundamental questions. Questions in a proper way, not for the sake of rebelling, but with an intention to understand, a penetrating question that pushes us towards more research and study and discussion, a samvada, a discussion that is educative, an argument that is educative and helps us to arrive at the truth, with driven by Shraddha and not driven only by skepticism, but with a good load of Shraddha also. So when we do that, we will see how our understanding improves and how we can, and when we combine that with the resolve to stick to what we have understood, trying to understand, inquire, understand, and try to stick to what we have understood and implement the understanding, then gradually Ishvara, we become more and more in tune with Ishvara Srishti, and the force of the spiritual grace, what we call as divine grace or anugraha, that starts awakening in every sphere of our life, and it starts taking over our life. The movement of our life, our decisions, our thoughts, actions, the circumstances that we will meet, the people that we will meet, the environment that we will come across, now all that will start changing when the divine takes over, when the divine force takes over every aspect of our life. So that is the main point of this action based spirituality. That is the main point of devotion and karma yoga. Is you allow the divine energies, you allow the divine intelligence to take over your personal intelligence and start directing it. So that is the essence of Gayatri Mantra. May that supreme light guide my thoughts and actions. That is the prayer we do in Gayatri Mantra. So the Vedic spirituality begins with the initiation into Gayatri Mantra, which is nothing but that supreme self-effulgent light, which is worthy of adoration. That light which illumines all the three worlds, the waking, dream, and sleep, the Bhuloka, Bhuvarloka, Suvarloka, the earth, the in-between regions, and the heavens. That light which illumines everything, that self-effulgent light, which is worthy of adoration. May that light illumine our intellect. Right? May that light guide my thoughts and actions. Dhiyo dharmadi gocharaha, my thinking and my action. So that is what Gayatri Mantra is about. So, and that mantra is because being a Vedic mantra, it has an intrinsic power to manifest the meaning of the mantra and make it a reality, right? So invocation requires initiation. The main point we discussed was invocation, which requires initiation and some study and all that, proper invocation and adoration, dedication, contemplation, realization. So that is the basic framework in which we are doing this whole life of spiritual sadhana. and establishing ourselves first. From Jiva Srishti, we establish ourselves in Ishvara Srishti and allow the Ishvara Srishti to take care of our Jiva Srishti. Allow the divine rhythm of life to take over my personal drama and direct my personal agendas and direct my personal dimension of life is completely directed and under the control of the divine and under the direction and the grace of the divine, right? So that is the first step, and for that we need a life of devotion that is dedicated to the various rhythms of life that are governed by nature and a proper incorporation of a divine presence in our life through a proper method of invocation and adoration and tuning our ego to that with dedication, which prepares us for contemplation and takes us towards realization. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vadishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. Please think about it, listen to it again. I have told a lot of concepts here, and I would encourage you to come back with your questions in the next class if you have any specific doubts that are based on this discussion. Thank you. Indian movies. Yes, I got a question here about everyone can practice Gayatri Mantra, encouraged everywhere in Indian movies, yoga schools encouraged. Yeah. According to the Mantra Shastra and the tradition, everyone should not practice Gayatri Mantra. There is something that is equivalent of Gayatri Mantra that is coming from the Smritis. It's called Smarta Gayatri, that is also given by a great sage. I think it was given by sage Agastya. That everyone can practice. The Vedic Gayatri Mantra is meant only for those who are born in the families that have not lost touch with the initiation. The Gayatri initiation, they should not have lost touch with for 3 generations. Not more than 3 generations, they should not have lost touch. So only in that a person is eligible to be initiated in Gayatri Mantra. If that is compromised, generally it is okay for males to be initiated in Gayatri Mantra if that person has a complete lifestyle. We have an example of Satyakama Jabala in the Upanishad. So the guru does not know the birth. So when the nature of the birth is not very clear, the birth is not very important, but the person has the qualities, then it is the decision of the guru to decide whether to initiate that person in the Gayatri Mantra or not. But that decision should not come from oneself, because Vedic mantras are not to be toyed with. And women who are in the menstruating period are recommended not to chant Gayatri Mantra, because it will make your uterus very weak and it can create imbalance in the apana. So generally that is the reason why women are told not to chant Gayatri Mantra. Vedic mantras are not for women, and that's what the tradition says. So we have a lot of these reformists like Gayatri Parivar and all that, initiating people and everybody chanting. So that is their wish, but this is the recommendation of the Shastra. So each one can decide based on that. If you ask me, I will say no, not everyone can do Gayatri Mantra. But you can practice this Smarta Gayatri, which is a shloka from the Smriti, which is given to us for the same purpose by sage Agastya himself. It's called Yo Deva Savita Smakam Dhyo Dharmadi Gocharaha Prerayet Tasya Yad Bhargaha Tadvarenyam Upasmahe. So that is Smarta Gayatri. So that everybody can practice. Okay. Thank you for the question. And we will continue such discussions from next Monday. And please think about it and come with some important questions and useful questions like what this person asked. Right? Thank you. Om